if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg. This is Bachelor Talks, and today we are discussing episodes 2 and 3 of the new season with Colton. A lot of thoughts, especially about episode number 2. But first, welcome to the new studio space. Hopefully it's not echoey in here. I just moved, so this is my first video filming in here, so I am so happy. And I would like to apologize for not having episode 2 in its own video last week. We were moving and our computer decided to take a crap, but luckily we were able to fix it. So I am back up and running and I am so thankful. So be sure that you have something to drink, maybe something to snack on, because it's gonna be one heck of an episode today since we are discussing 2. I would like to remind you to subscribe if you aren't yet. Be sure to turn on the bell notification so you are notified when my video goes live and you can be a part of Power Hour. Here on my channel, the first hour that my video is live, I will be responding immediately to your comments. So if there's anything you want to talk about, be sure to have the notifications on so you can join in on the fun. And be sure to stay tuned to the end of the video for a fan theory section. So I decided at the end of the videos, any of the comments that I get that have possible minor spoilers or theories or what your predictions are, we're going to talk about it at the end to, continue the group discussion. And while I'm here, I'm going to remind you about the no spoiler policy. It kind of sounds like a contradiction right now because we're going to discuss minor spoilers. But if you know how the show ends or who he picks or if he doesn't pick anyone or whatever the outcome of the show is, please do not leave it in the comments down below. Your comment will be deleted and you will likely be removed from the channel because while it is fun to discuss theories and spoilers, I do not want to know the outcome. Anything that's confirmed, I like, sitting myself and seeing how things play out. And I know a lot of others that watch my videos and comment down below feel the same way. So no endgame spoilers. Let's go ahead and get into episode 2. And I have a spinny chair. I'm gonna try to not spin the whole time. So sorry if that bothers you. As usual, I will be referring to notes on my phone because so much happens in these episodes and they have been quite fun to watch if I'm being honest. So I do have to mention the very first opening line of episode 2 was "Tonight on The Bachelor," and it cuts to Colton in the shower. I just had to say it since I made my joke in the last one. Is this season gonna be called Colton Takes a Shower? I wonder how many more times we're gonna see that clip. We'll see, kind of the running joke here on this channel. So that was hilarious. And I also have to take a step back from last week's, or from the first episode that I put out, because I did see an article that came out saying that Colton actually liked Catherine interrupting him in the last video. Be sure to check it out. I had a whole rant on how it was annoying that Catherine interrupted him and I wondered how that worked, but he said he actually liked it. So anyways, I had to address that in this video. So the date card, the first group date was discussing firsts. And I think it's kind of playful that they're, already making fun of him being a virgin and they had an entire date of firsts. But I kind of hope that it's a one and done and we don't really get it dragged out throughout the rest of the season, but knowing ABC, that's probably what they're going to be doing. I absolutely love this date card, or this date, because I love Nick Offerman and Meg and Molly. They are absolutely amazing and hilarious. So basically, they had to get up in front of 200 people and tell stories of their first. It could be serious, it could be funny. Of course, I feel like with them, being the hosts of this date, you kind of have to put it on the comedy side, right? I mean, everybody went through their routine, but the showstopper, of course, was Demi, and let me just put her right over here because she is going to be the main feature in this week's episode of Bachelor Talks. You could just see the daggers just coming out of all the women's eyes, and yeah, they were literally sending daggers out of their eyes at her when she marched down the stage with the utmost confidence and kissed Colton in front of everybody. I thought it was clever, it was smart, and I may get a lot of hate, but I don't hate Demi. That's my main consensus throughout these 2 episodes, is that I don't dislike her. I think she's being strategic. She's being smart about it. She's making the show entertaining. And she just made the comment that a lot of the girls are saying the same things, doing the same things, and she's trying to think of ways to stick out and to like always have her on Colton's mind. And I think that that's a really smart way to go about this, because at the end of the day, you do want to be remembered and you do want to stand out. So I think she's doing a good job and being smart about the strategy of the game. And yes, we could say that he's looking for love, but at the end of the day, it is a contest, like it is a contest. It's kind of a game that they're all playing. So I think she has a good strategy. And here we enter the drama with Tracy. So let's put Tracy over here. Tracy, oh man. I feel bad for Tracy because she does not have the patience for these girls in their early 20s. She particularly does not have the patience for Demi. And I just thought it was hilarious because Demi is 23, Tracy is 31. That is quite the age gap. I know when I was a 23-year-old, I was a hell of a lot different than I am now as a 29-year-old. And I can only imagine myself as a 31-year-old having to be in an environment with girls in their early 20s. So I get the kind of frustration on her end, and Demi being playful comes across as her not being serious. But I also think Tracy needs to, you know, lighten things up a little bit. And I thought it was kind of funny because there was a point where she sat Demi down and was lecturing her like Demi was her child, and was like, it was not appropriate for you to walk off the stage and kiss Colton in front of everybody. That is so rude and insulting. And I just like was laughing watching this. I don't know how Demi sat there. I mean, maybe she still has like that younger attitude of in one ear and out the other, and it's just like, So I thought that that was a funny moment, and it was just something that continued throughout the rest of the 2 episodes. Colton is absolutely eating up Hannah. That is the content creator that got the first impression rose. I don't remember the 2 Hannah's initials, so I will have their pictures up so you know who I'm referring to. But he is just eating her up. He is enjoying her. However, I see the way that she is looking at him, and it's just like almost too Disney princess for me. Maybe I'm alone in this, but to me it was just a little too like fairy tale, like ooh ah, and I just didn't find her presence around him genuine. So let me know what your thoughts on Hannah, I keep wanting to call her Lauren, Hannah the content creator. Let me know what your thoughts on her are below, because I still can't tell if she's genuine or not. I mean, she did have the ties to other people in the Bachelor world. Everybody's saying she's gonna be the next Bachelorette, so right now, I can't say I find her genuine. In this episode, again, Nicole seems to be the crier of the episode. She was having the meltdown in the first rose ceremony, and here she is in tears again, stressing and fretting about the rose. And again, I really felt like she was a lot more confident. And I wish that she believed in herself a little bit more throughout this process, because I think she's awesome. But she also may be the crier of the season. So we are building up the anticipation of Colton going on his one-on-one date, the first one-on-one date with the other Hannah, Miss Beauty Pageant Hannah. And Kaylin kind of drops the tea, and again, I had to laugh because if you're new here, I make fun of ABC all the time for the cheese factor. I mean, The Bachelor is just, they embrace the cheesiness. They know they're being cheesy, but the music they were playing when Kaylin was discussing the whole Hannah thing, it was just so overly dramatic. But Kaylin spelt the tea and was just like, we were friends, and she can't handle high pressure situations, so she melts down and things don't get pretty, you know, things start to get a little ugly with her. So it kind of, again, foreshadowed and put a little sparkle of light into what we're gonna see throughout this episode, the next episode, and what looks like episode 4. We also see Hannah clap back, if you will, at Kaylin and say that Kaylin is really fake, but you can tell that there's more that Hannah wants to say, but she's like not wanting to let it all out yet. So I find that suspect here in this moment. Hannah also is very, very afraid of what Kaylin is going to tell Colton. We see this throughout this episode, throughout the next episode. She's very like, what is Kayla saying about me? What if she tells him this? What if she tells him that? Like, what if she's making up all these lies? So at the same time, it's also like, Hannah girl, like, what are you hiding? Other than you obviously can't handle high pressure situations. Because she starts to crack on the date with Colton, he simply asked her to make a toast and she literally couldn't think of anything. I understand what it's like when you're a little bit of a perfectionist and you're trying to think of the right things to say, but at the end of the day, just say, hey, cheers to a great date. It doesn't have to be that deep, that serious. You can just tell that she's somebody that puts a lot of pressure on herself and she is going to crack and crumble here, okay? It's like, Hannah, she's a ticking time bomb. I would also like to note that Hannah even said in her interview, if it's not perfect, I feel horrible. So again, I think that's a lot of foreshadowing. I think we still have a huge Hannah meltdown in our future we have yet to see. So the first part of their day was hella awkward, but she was able to get it together at dinner and really shine, and Colton was like, all right, I'm gonna keep her, because for a while there, it seemed like he was ready to, you know, leave her on the side of the road in the desert. All right, so the group date, they did a little jamboree thing where they had 3 little events, and it was yellow versus red. My only really standout notes from here, because I'm already like 13 minutes in, is that Hannah got the rose and she expresses to Colton that she's never been kissed before. She didn't want to be treated differently, which Colton could kind of relate to that since they're both virgins, but I feel like the I've never been kissed before even freaked him out a little bit. You could tell Hannah was telling him and was like, yo, like kiss me, and Colton still pulled back. So I feel like Hannah's fear was lived and that Colton did reserve himself from kissing her since she'd never been kissed before. So I just wish he would have kissed her and gotten it over with. I think Hannah was ready for it. She was, or Heather, I'm so sorry. Heather was ready for it and just wanted to, you know, land her first kiss with Colton, and hopefully we see this happen in episode 4 because time's a ticking. If you don't make that kiss and that connection, there's a good chance you're gonna go. The rose ceremony was full of air horns and pots and pans, and at this point it is just getting savage. These girls are cutthroat, but it's also getting pretty childish, and I feel like this is only episode 2 and they're all ready to kill each other already, so I'm just waiting for something to just explode and blow up in the next episode or 2 here, because these girls are taking this so seriously. And here in the rose ceremony, we still have Tracy that's over here kind of like pedaling around, reminding that I'm the oldest one here, where I'm sorry, but Elise is also 31, so you're not like queen eldest, you know, you're not the elder that's on top of the mountain, you're like, there's people right up there with you. But anyway, she's still making it loud and clear that she's the oldest one here, so, you know, she's smartest, she's the most knowledgeable, most mature, whatever it is she's trying to allude here. And I also laughed out loud because when Tracy is talking to Colton before the rose ceremony, of course it's Demi that interrupts her, and I was just like, out of all the people for her to interrupt, I was wondering if that was staged, but it was hilarious. This is where Demi was in the robe and was like, come upstairs to my fantasy closet or whatever, and was giving him a little massage. And this is where I feel bad for Demi, because I understand these girls are in a certain environment and that they're a lot more prone to meltdowns than what they would be if they were in a more normalized environment. But Tracy is just really letting Demi get to her, pulls her aside. Oh, actually, Tracy did not pull her aside. Demi was the bigger person and was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous, whatever. Walked upstairs, wanted to clear the air with Tracy and be like, I didn't mean any harm, I wasn't being malicious. And Tracy subtly slut-shames her for walking around in the robe. And she's not the only one. There are a couple of other girls that were like, it's really inappropriate that you're wearing a robe. And it's like, she has her rose ceremony dress on under the robe. I didn't think it was inappropriate or sneaky or snaky or whatever these girls are being paranoid about. Maybe they need to come up with better ideas to steal and capture his attention themselves. What is your opinion on the robe situation? I thought she was getting a lot of hate when it wasn't a big deal. So, My thoughts on Demi is that time is the name of the game, and yes, I was getting hella annoyed with Catherine in the first episode because we're, you know, interrupting somebody chronically 4 times in a row. That's excessive. But the whole point why you're here is to spend as much time with us as possible and make it as memorable as possible. And that's what Demi's doing. So I don't understand the hate. You know, we're not seeing 24 hours of footage, so maybe things were worse in the house than what they were showing us. That's just my thoughts on that. And Tracy gets the meltdown of the week in the rose ceremony, and 4 girls go home. Alrighty, that was one heck of an episode, and let's move on to episode 3. So this group date, you know, you would think that they would kind of split the drama up, but nope, they wanted all the drama in all the same group date. So they had Hannah and Kaylin together, and they also had Demi and Tracy together. So I was like, okay, ABC is not messing around with this group date. Shit's about to get real interesting here. This whole pirate thing, when they first walked in and Colton's standing there dressed up and they did like this little play thing, I was like, oh my God, this is so cheesy. But then I remembered what show I was watching. Hello? Hello? Hi, baby. I know. Come here. Say hello. Say hello. Normally in my old videos, I had a bed back here, so Luna would always be in my background, and I don't have that anymore, so it makes me like, it makes me sad. I loved having her in my videos. So Kaylin wins this whole competition thing that they were doing, which was funny because they kept showing Hannah, beauty pageant Hannah, kicking everyone's butt with like the little, I don't know, sword fighting thing that they were doing, with the sticks. I don't know what it's called. I'm really great at what I do. But yeah, Kaylin ends up winning the whole date thing. Hannah is hella jealous, and I just feel like it's another stab for Hannah because Kaylin beat her out in the whole beauty pageant thing. So I feel like Hannah really has a lot of resentment and a big grudge that she is holding against Kaylin, and is taking it to a whole new level of personal because of the beauty pageant. But in my opinion, it's a different thing. You've got to try to let it go, but at the same time, it's kind of eating away at her. They don't have much to occupy their time, so I'm sure that's all Hannah's literally thinking about in the free time that they're at the house. So again, there's going to be something that happens very soon. I can see a 2-on-1 in our future with either Demi and Tracy or with Hannah and Kaylin. But it seems like Colton is super into Kaylin, is all up on her, and we'll get into more of that in a second. We also see on this group date that Demi just kind of calls Tracy out on her shit and was like, listen, I'm really sick of you making your comments about me, trying to lecture me around, blah, 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 blah. Like, we don't have to like each other, but I'm getting really, you know, tired of you making your digs at me. So good for Demi on that. That happens, and then enters Courtney, and Courtney starts saying shit to Demi as well, and we kind of see it in the preview for the next episode, so maybe Courtney and Demi will be on a 2-on-1, but it's very clear at this point that Demi is the villain of the season. She's a villain in the house. Multiple girls are trying to gang up on her and have an issue with her, so I'm very curious on your thoughts on Demi. I feel like I am one in few that actually don't mind her and don't think that she's necessarily wrong in this situation. So let me know your thoughts. Elise gets a 1-on-1 date. They flew out to San Diego. They were in Belmont Park. They shared a little group date with kids, and it was just a super cute date to watch. They seem to get along really well. Elise seems very, very mature, so I don't really have anything else to note from that. Flashback to the house, meltdown of the week seems to go to Cassie, who was kind of, you know, forgotten about in episode 2. I was kind of like, where is she? What happened to her? Because she was very much a standout in the first episode and also seemed to be a crowd favorite. So I was kind of like, what happened to Cassie? So here she is having a meltdown, freaking out if she's going to be on the second group date or whatnot. So that's kind of my meltdown of the week. Now we get into more Hannah and Caelynn drama, and Hannah makes the classic rookie mistake, which I don't understand how each season people are still making this mistake, because obviously there are people on every season that aren't going to get along, yet there's always one person that puts their foot in their mouth and decides to go to the Bachelor or Bachelorette and say, hey, this person bothers me. Here's A, B, and C, why they suck and why they shouldn't be here, their intentions aren't good. And 10 out of 10 times, it never ends up good for the person that decides to bash the other person. We see this season after season. So I was just really like, really, Hannah? Like, you're going to put your foot in your mouth and basically kick yourself to the curb? But okay, so Hannah kind of really breaks down this episode, but I can't feel bad for her because she literally brought this onto herself, because at this point, Caelynn hasn't really said anything about Hannah to Colton, and it doesn't really seem to be anything that Caelynn's worried about. So again, it's kind of like, is Caelynn really a snake? Because in the first episode, I said that I could see her as a potential villain. Or is Hannah really doing something shady? Or does Hannah really have something to hide? I know a lot of people feel bad for Hannah, but like I said, she kind of brought this all onto herself. In the end, Caelynn came up on top with getting the rose for their little group date. Hannah kind of has a mini meltdown about it and should be worried if she's going home. In the end, Caelynn comes on top with the rose, and Hannah ends up insulting Colton by basically saying, if you keep her around and if you're into her, then I don't get how you could be into me. So, I mean, talk about foot and mouth. She literally, girl, like, come on. You could tell that she instantly regretted her words, but it was a little bit too late. Damage was already done. This sends Colton into a spiral of who's telling the truth, what do I do? You can tell that he's annoyed, but he's also paranoid himself of being deceived and being lied to, which is a very valid concern. The next group date was, what was it? The Bachelor's Strongest Woman, which I kind of enjoyed this group date. I thought it was really fun to watch. Here, we had Nikki, who was ready to steal the show, kind of had everything lined up for herself to get the rose and to like win the competition, but we had Anika that actually ended up winning, and she kicked ass. So that was awesome. Here we have Caelynn spending some time with Colton, and it's kind of a Hannah situation where it's a little bit awkward, only unfortunately for Caelynn, it doesn't get better. They are just so not vibing, and Colton is not here to waste his time or mess around. He just is not feeling her and decides to send her home right then and there, which sent all the girls into a paranoid tizzy. Caitlyn seems like a nice girl, but she just isn't it for Colton, so girl, bye. And now instead of a rose ceremony, which every girl almost had a mini heart attack when Chris Harrison said there is no rose ceremony, he knows what he wants to do. He wants to have a pool party, and everybody went from like to Colton probably was like, we all need to have some fun after all this drama, all this, you know, stress that everybody's going through, so let's have a fun little pool party. But little does he know, the pool party turns into a giant he said, she said situation, or in this case, a she said situation with the Kayla and Hannah drama only continuing from where it left off. Here, there was no meltdown for the rose ceremony. It was more of a showdown between Caelynn and Hannah. And this is where I have to say, where I said it earlier, Hannah did it to herself. She is so upset that Caelynn is staying and that she was called last. But girl, you're the one that ran to Colton and started all this drama in the first place. You literally did this to yourself. You should be thankful that you weren't sent home. So my question for you is, how do you think this is going to pan out? Are you like Team Hannah or Team Caelynn, or what is your thoughts and opinions on this whole situation? In this episode, we finally see that Catherine goes home along with two other girls that I don't remember their names because they didn't get any airtime. So Those were two very dramatic-filled episodes. I'm shocked that there is this much drama this soon, but now it is time for Theory Showdown. So let me go ahead and pull up the comments from episode 1 and let's go ahead and get this discussion going. My overall thoughts is that Hannah, that is the content creator, I don't trust her. I don't think she's genuine. There's obviously going to be some kind of drama coming to a head with Hannah and Kaylin. I'm wondering if the truth is going to be exposed on what the real deal is. And there's also going to be a showdown with Demi and either Tracy or Courtney. So who do you think the 2-on-1 date is going to be? Which set of drama is going to get it? Because I feel like Colton is really feeling Kaylin right now and he's super into her, so I don't see him sending her on a 2-on-1. And I also feel like he's still being really surprised by Demi, so I can't really see him sending her on a 2-on-1 this early either. So what are your thoughts on that? Alright, I'm going to discuss a comment that was left on my video from last week, so this is kind of like minor spoilers. So if you don't want to hear any of this, now is the time for you to click off the video, but don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you liked it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and maybe they will be discussed at the end of next week's video. And also don't forget to subscribe. So somebody with the username, it's just 3C's is their username, they said that they weren't leaving a spoiler, but they did spill some tea. So I'm gonna read this verbatim. This person said that their take on Colton jumping the fence is that he finds out that Cassie, okay, so in the preview we see Colton jumping over a fence. We also see Colton in the preview saying he doesn't care if he's the most hated bachelor and that if he picks no one, it is what it is. America has to deal with it. So we see him jumping over a fence. So they say that he finds out that Cassie, so remember Cassie, I think she is the OT therapist that does speech therapy. You know, she was a little undershadowed in the episode 2. She kind of popped up in the 3rd episode. He finds out that Cassie, and they put in parentheses, and her sister of Hallmark's Snow White Christmas are soon going to be on their 2nd season of their reality show, Young Once, and he wants to be an actor too. Cassie has had an on-again and off-again relationship with Viola Univ's sports star, Kaylin Taijan. I can't say this name. Taimson. So I wonder if she is ready for a relationship. So I'm thinking that she leaves and he jumps the fence to go after her and his acting career too. After all, actors need love too. So does anybody else have any insight on this comment? I find it so interesting. That is why I love having these discussions with you guys in the comments. Because again, I don't really seek out any information. If I happen to come across on something on Twitter or like something, you know, some kind of drama article that I see on Twitter or Facebook, then I'll look at it. But again, I don't really seek out any of this information, and I know that there are some Bachelor mega fans out there, and you guys know all this behind information, and I just love hearing it. So if anybody else has heard about this, let me know in the comments down below. And also in my last video, back with Demi being the villain, I remember she met up with Pauly Califor from Big Brother in the challenge, and supposedly they met up because she was worried about her image and how she's going to be portrayed on the show as a villain. So that was like my insider tidbit. So if you guys know anything or have any gossip about what's going on with the show or any of the contestants, let it out in the comments down below. I hope you guys enjoyed this recap, and starting next week we will be back to week by week. So I will see you on Tuesday or Wednesday next week for a recap of episode 4. Thank you so much for spending the time with me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my other videos right here if you aren't caught up, and I will see you next time. Bye everyone.